Salutare!
Hei, salutări, Ștefan sunt.
Salut, Gogo sunt!
Bine v-am regăsit într-un nou episod al Academiei de Vapat. În episodul din această seară, așa cum ați văzut și din thumbnail, îl avem invitat pe Max, CEO de la Liqua. Acum, ridicăm o problemă. El vorbește engleză, noi vorbim engleză. Vrem să vă întrebăm și
noi
scrieți-ne...
vorbim un fel de engleză, stai așa.
Da,
că...
mă rog, între ghilimele.
Deci nu ne săriți în cap, da? Unchiul meu este Iliescu, ca să o luăm așa.
Clar, și al meu este Putin. Dar, întrebarea se pune așa. Vreți, oricum pe el trebuie să-l întrebăm în engleză, că asta e clar. Vreți să încerc să traduc sau credeți că vă descurcați să ne ascultați în engleză? Pentru că subtitrări nu o să punem la live-ul ăsta, că nu are nimeni suficient de multă răbdare încât să pună subtitrări la asta. Dacă vreți să încerc să traduc întrebarea și răspunsul lui Max, după ce dă răspunsul, scrieți acum în comentarii ca să știm și noi ce facem din live-ul ăsta și chiar am rugămintea să scrieți în comentarii ca să știm unde și cum ne orientăm. Mai stăm un pic până să-l invităm pe Max frumos, până ne lămurim aici cu engleza. Scrieți voi +1 engleză sau +1 română.
Da. Iar
ideal ar fi să dați un like dacă vreți în engleză, știi?
Da. Iar ăia
ideal
care
ar fi
sunt...
să dați un like oricum.
Iar ăia care sunt unguri nu e nicio problemă că înțeleg și română și engleză.
Da, ăia sunt cei mai corecți. Daddy Nelson zice tradus. N-are să învețe ai noștri engleză. Ne descurcăm cu engleza noastră băltăreață. +1 la engleză. Deci îl avem pe Daddy Nelson până acum care zice cu tradus. Hai, chatule, hai, ziceți-ne ce să facem.
Ușa. Bine, nu e nici foarte multă lume încă, dar ne descurcăm noi cumva.
Mă, sunt 60 de persoane, totuși trebuie să-și exprime un vot aici. Da. Habla español, se puede. Sí se puede, amigo, pero no esta noche.
Hai să facem și un story pe Instagram repede, ca să nu spunem că nu avem conținut pe Instagram, pe Academia de Vapat, contul care merită follow-luit, nu?
Da.
Dar alt cont care merită follow-luit este contul lui Fani Ștefan pe YouTube.
Pe YouTube și aș dori să anunț că oficial am extras, am dat tot ce era să vă extrag. Oficial vreau să vă anunț că sunt și prost și m-am ars, dar asta e, nu e nicio problemă, mă bucur că m-am ars.
Salutare,
paradoxul ăla n-a fost cu concurs.
Fani. Haideți pe live, pentru că e și Max cu noi, facem interviu cu șeful la mare de la Liqua, vă pup.
Nu e nicio problemă, ați înțeles? Am dat toate cadourile, asta a fost ce era de înțeles. Stai să vedem engleză. Parlez-vous français? Oui, oui. Nous avons parlé un peu de français. Cu tare... Bă, Cristi, tu conduci de la 5 dimineața unde? Unde te duci?
Da, mă, lasă-l că se duce în Ungaria.
A, da?
Da.
Bă, nu dormi, Cristi, nu dormi. E Max de la Liqua cu noi, nu dormi, Cristi, conduci.
Da, Cristi, fii atent aici la telefon.
Uite, Ionuț zice engleză cu subtitrări automate live și ne distrăm. Da? Da, româna nu intră la subtitrări automate. Salut Marin Bogdan, trăiască toți frățiorii și surorile noastre de pe live, toată comunitatea asta frumoasă. Eu zic, Gogo, că chat-ul și-a exprimat un vot considerabil în direcția engleză și mă bucur pentru că era și mai greu să mă concentrez și la engleză și la română, adică făceam pe Monica Ristor, dar hai să încercăm cu All Our English, da? Dacă vrei să deschizi ăla acolo și să pui tu întrebările, poți să faci și chestia asta, putem pune pe rând, să intervin eu cum vrei. Hai că formulezi eu întrebările și mai dai așa. Tu adnotații, da?
Și eu dau din cap, așa, aprobativ.
Da. Very good.
Haide să-l primim cu căldură.
Da, aplaudați în chat, vă rog frumos, că noi scoatem pâinea și sarea. Așa se face, tradițional.
Welcome, Mr. Max.
Hello, guys.
Hello, nice to meet you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
We're very fine. We just spoke with the chat and we agreed on English, so things should be a lot smoother than we anticipated. That being said, can you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. First of all, thanks for inviting me.
Our pleasure.
So my name is Max, and I'm actually CEO and owner of a Ricci company that is doing Liqua, Armax brands. Well, we have a few other secret brands as well. So I actually work with a company almost from. I'm not a founder. I think I joined 6 months later after the company was there. Originally, my plan was to be a Joytech distributor long time ago. I wanted to do a branding for them and kind of improve how they look at the time because it was kind of very no-name company. But then I joined the guys and I'm working more than 10 years already here. And I was responsible mostly for technical things before. So I was a chief technical officer. And the last 2.5 years, I think, I took the CEO position. So we kind of unified now how we're doing things and what we're doing.
First time we meet you at the Armax Power, I think. Yeah, we had a conference regarding the Armax Power when the prototype. I remember. You were in China.
Yes, I was in China at the time. So we've been designing the product. And the product turned out to be quite successful. Nobody believed in that, actually. But it worked for a long time. I think times are changing.
Yeah.
So it's time for the new things now.
That is very true. I just wanted to ask, can you tell us a bit about your personal vaping experience? Do you vape? Have you vaped all this time? So you must have been vaping for a long time.
Sure. Yeah, look, maybe it's going to be a bit more clear with some of my history. So I started smoking, I think, when I was 14. As
very young.
Most people, yeah. Well, young, but that's a time when it's most attractive. I was smoking for quite a long time. I started my first business in 1999. It was IT business. We've been doing online websites, we've been doing all kind of large projects with Department of Energy of the United States. And so that was for quite a long time. I was in IT. And I think 2008, I found out, I was searching for Googling how to make a ventilation in my apartment.
Okay.
So I can smoke there. And that's when I found the electronic cigarettes. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. I wonder if that works. So we had a very, very tiny discussion thread about it in Moscow. And I contacted the guy and asked him if he can sell me something. And he sold me his own device, I think 3 times more expensive than it was, but there's been really no shops at the time.
Well, what year was this? Can you recall?
I think it was 2008.
Okay.
2008.
So quite early because it was invented in 2007 something, I believe.
I think it was a bit like maybe 1 year earlier. We had something on the market, but it was, I think it was the beginning of a 510 in general.
Yeah.
And I think it was very first time when Joytech Ego appeared on the market. So it's probably end of 2008. And so that's the device I got from him. I think I bought from him also Johnson's Creek liquid.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember.
I think $50 he charged me for the bottle. Something like that. But anyway, I bought his personal stash and I tried it and I thought, wow, it works. Not very good, but it's kind of has a potential. And I bought I think in Totally Wicked. Totally Wicked was already.
Those
at that
were
time.
good, very flavorful.
Yeah, Totally Wicked was kind of the branding the Joytech products, but they still do it. So I bought from their online store something like 40 kits of devices,
Okay.
and I didn't feel about asking discount. I think that was at that time that was a wholesale order easily, but I just didn't feel about it. So I bought full price, and I posted in this discussion thread that, hey guys, I have some kits. If you want to buy, I just sell on double price, but you can take it now. You don't have to wait. I waited for 10 days, maybe delivery, and I sold them all from my home in a week or less. And I talked with everyone who was buying. It was like, why are you buying this? What is this about? Who is it for? How did you find out about it? What do you expect from it? And I just, for me, it was clear there is a demand for product, and there is no supply. And that's I felt from day one, I already started using only electronic cigarettes. So it's just I didn't use cigarettes at all, but they didn't work well. I mean, it was not. They had really still 510 atomizer for cartridges. So you had to like take off the breech out.
Yeah, I remember.
You had to drop on it. So it was a nightmare, but it worked somehow. I know that's a miracle. And then later I joined Reaching, which was a very fresh company also at the time, but they decided, okay, we're gonna go with our own brand. And they just didn't have a technical guy. And so I joined as a technical guy, and we felt, okay, let's go and try to find some China factory that is somewhat better than the one they use. Let's see if we can agree with Joytech about how we can be doing better products. And so I came to China. We talked with a lot of factories, and I was astonished at how much they have no R&D at all. There's like they had at the time they had maybe one guy, not in the office somewhere.
That explains a lot of things in retrospective, actually.
Yeah, so it wasn't like they cannot do the things. They said, well, if you can design it, if you can give us drawings, we can do it.
Yeah, they can make anything. Just tell them what.
Yeah. If you just, they said, if you like make 1,000 kits, we can do any design for you. but you need to design it. Okay, we don't have really engineers. And so I just realized that, okay, well, if we want to improve, we have to do it by ourselves. And so we opened a factory in China. In retrospect, that was kind of crazy. We didn't know how difficult.
They were different times then. People were more enthusiastic.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, so and we started doing. I believed a lot at the time that bottled liquid is going to be the product. The main products were cartridges, and
refill cartridges.
Yeah, I think it was. There's been no ego with those large cartridges, so it was only all the cotton-based or just all cotton-based cartridges. And so I knew that if you can use this product, you have to at least have a refill. So we started with doing liquid, and we started doing with for liquid. It took us a long time because we had to build the whole flavor lab. We had to build a whole chemical lab. There's been no experts on the market at all who know what they do. So yeah, it took quite a long time to learn the things. But anyway, all this time, personally, I was not really returning to cigarettes, except I had one time I started smoking again. And I don't know if you remember those products, but the problem with them was nicotine delivery was not good. And you had to be really, really excited about the product and vape a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Basically, you
underpowered.
would vape all day long, so you get
Yeah,
the
and you
same.
just non-stop. And I think I just lost a kind of nicotine dependence because of this, because I was just incapable to take enough nicotine. And at some point, I think there's been kind of like stressful time. We've been trying to do the break even on a business, and I just started smoking again. Because I think I was already not vaping. But 3 months later, I realized I'm again feeling like I felt before. And that was it. And I was like, okay, no, I'm not going back.
So we have a question. It's from Daniel, and he's asking you, what is your best setup for vaping right now?
Well, my best setup is actually our Liqua that we do. That's as you know, Vinci product. We did in collaboration with them. It's based on Vinci, but we adjusted a few things. And
So, just speaking about this device, we couldn't figure out basically if it has adjustable power, because
No.
the original one has it. So this one doesn't.
well, Vinci originally had actually two versions, one with display and one without. And the one with display, it had this awkward option of you like press 3 times and it's changing the power.
Yep.
But we did a test with people and we found out they more doing it by accident, changing the
Then
power,
on purpose, yeah.
and then they lost, and then they're like, wow, why is it not working well? So we turned it off.
So you're vaping a direct lung right now with the Vinci?
Yeah. I think it's like on the edge. You definitely cannot say it's mouth to lung. It's
Like
it's
a
detail.
restrictive lung inhale, something like that, or a very airy mouth to lung.
It's kind of in the middle between them. There is actually a story why we did like this and why we're coming out with this product, because I personally am a believer in this a lot, but I know it's very controversial on markets, because we're getting a feedback and people saying, hey, that's too much nicotine, for example, or maybe it's too much power, or things like that. But the Liqua for us is done for, it's in the name, it's done for smokers. And smokers in our definition are people who have a nicotine dependency.
And you targeted nicotine delivery in the foresight of this, basically.
Yes.
So it's
The
a
nicotine
very
delivery is-
focused device for nicotine delivery, basically, with the whole liquid, actually.
Yeah, it's focused on basically that you're not going back to cigarettes. It's the fastest way of how you can stop nicotine cravings, because you're doing 1 or 2 puff and you're okay. You just
Yeah,
don't
it's
feel
like
it
a
anymore.
quick fix, other than recreational vaping, where you kind of puff all day long and you drop the nicotine so you can vape more. So this is a more personal question, but it has been asked a lot, and I'm sorry to ask you this, but the people want to know, in what country do you live in now? I don't know why, they're just curious.
Okay, well, I'm in Prague, Czech Republic. This is
very
where
nice.
it's our headquarters. So yeah, before, like 2.5 years ago, I was living in China all the time on a factory, and now I'm living here. So it's not very far from you.
Okay, thank you very much. And we have another question here, and I have to do this with an accent. My friend, some new flavors in the near future. He asked with a Putin accent. I don't know Putin's accent. I'm so sorry for that. This is my best impression.
We're looking at the new flavors, but I have to say, we kind of brand that is available in a lot of outlets and across the world. And for most of them, there is a limited ability on a shelf. They just cannot really put too many flavors. What happens is that for the industry, we're quite a large company. We're not a large company in general sense. We're far away from big tobacco. But the processes that we have require us to have volumes. So we right now dealing with thousands of different products that we have to manufacture. And so making additional flavors across multiple countries, that's making it tough. And then unfortunately, it can go to a lot of shelves. So we have to be very, very careful of what flavors we releasing. So yeah, I'm expecting this year we're going to release new things.
Are you also going to cancel some things? Maybe
Yeah,
are
we
there
probably
any
gonna
flavors
cancel
that aren't doing so well? Because
Yeah, sure. There is.
it's a very old product to say so, and I'm guessing some flavors didn't keep up with the current times.
The thing is, unfortunately, I believe at some point we've been releasing quite good flavors, but because there's been already a lot of them, there is just no space on the shelf to put them in.
Yeah, and it's another thing. Usually people that are releasing a lot of flavors do so in short fill format, which do not require TPD approval or anything like that. It's much easier to do short fills very rapidly if you're like a smaller operation, to say so. Especially if you're local in that country, you can release a lot of flavors, as opposed to a big company that has to go with international approval of all liquids, right?
Not for us. The TPD is not really an issue for us. We have a full-fledged lab, so collecting data and do all these things is not really important. There are some notification fees. We're releasing every new flavor, but our volumes anyway larger than whether it would be a problem. But for us, the difference is not very big whether we're releasing in short fills or in RTV, because releasing a flavor is a very long process for us. We have to design it, we have to test for safety, we have to test for the shelf life, and we have to do the emission collection. So usually for us, it's the fastest we can do is probably 5 months. And somewhere in 2 months, we already can gather the TPD data and apply for notification. And in average cycle, at the time when 6 months pass, this is the time when we're ready, because we need to stock like the whole thing and distribute the product and so on. So it's not really helping us if it's short fill. We cannot do it like this because from the very beginning, I knew that I need to be doing products that I can recommend personally to anyone.
Yeah, that's
and
the
that
best,
I can use.
Best way.
And unfortunately, I know that it's not that simple. You cannot throw any flavor in and think, oh, it's going to be fine.
Not really. No, because at least in my opinion, each country has its own taste, and maybe some products do good in one country and not so good in another. And speaking of that, we have a couple of questions regarding countries and markets, and it's a double question. So what are the countries, or how many countries does Liqua in how many countries is Liqua featured, and what is the biggest market for Liqua?
Okay, so I think after this United States crisis, the whole market globally kind of decreased, as you know, probably 30%. So we had a very large list of countries. I think 2019 we've been selling to 117, 120 countries. And right now, I think we lost some of the smaller countries. And so it's probably right now close to 90, around that.
Okay.
And the largest country, we don't really have any domestic market. So majority of the brands, they do very well at home, and they do gradually much smaller in other places. So largest for us is Czech Republic. And it's not significant part of our sales, so it's not very big.
I understand. Yeah, that makes sense actually. So we do have another point in our little list here. If you could explain to us in layman's terms something about the new TPD, do you have any inside info or something regarding that? Because it's a matter that affects each and every vapor, and we're just curious.
Well, unfortunately, I'm not probably ready to talk about too many details about TPD3. So, in short, it's coming in a few years for sure. There is currently hearings and discussions, but a lot will be decided in the several years.
Okay.
And I think the local legislations are more dangerous than TPD itself. We can expect the TPD will have kind of the excise taxes in it defined. It makes a lot of sense to do it on European level.
Rather than hitting us up like they did in the Romanian market, which was a great hit for our market, especially when you consider the buying power of the general population.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not going to be stupid. And it's going to be reasonable excise tax. But I think, unfortunately, it's unavoidable to have it, because if the vaping is kind of taking something from the tobacco market, it's taken from the budget. Certainly, governments want to compensate for this. They don't really want to lose the money. I don't expect there's going to be significant changes on, for example, nicotine levels or the tank volumes. But a lot will depend from the pressure, the public pressure that will be applied.
Yeah, unfortunately,
we have this problem
people in
Romania now.
Sorry?
We have this problem in Romania now with the local authorities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Max, someone asked you, what is the nicotine level that you are vaping right now?
It's a 20 mg/ml. It's a TPD limit. So in general, I believe, like if you're not into clouds or the process itself, you should vape as high nicotine level as available.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
It doesn't make sense to go above 60, probably, and 70. And it's something at 100 and 150, it's starting to become really dangerous. Not very dangerous still, but yes, especially if you're dealing with large volumes and you put on skin, those high concentrations is going to make you dizzy for quite a long time.
I totally agree that with the high level of nicotine. I'm a big fan. 18 milligram, of course. What is your favorite flavor?
I'm using a bright tobacco. It's my favorite, but I like to go sometime to lemon pie, and I think sometime traditional.
Yeah, of course.
So it's kind of, for me, is a good balance of more floral for bright and more kind of more harsh in the traditional, and more ACD. Yeah.
My favorite is a combination of dark with sweet. 2 parts of dark and 1 part of sweet. And of course 18 milligrams, because I have Viking lungs. Some other questions?
Somebody asked, how do you see the future of vaping? Do you think it will ever overtake traditional smoking, to say so?
Okay, that's a good question. I'm not sure if you will have enough time for me.
We have some time. It's only 9:30.
Okay. So, long-term, no doubts that combustible products will die in favor of aerosol type products like vaping. I think that heat-not-burn products like IQOS is a temporary measure for tobacco companies, because they need to use a tobacco leaf. But for health, it's not a very good thing because the temperatures are quite high still. It's not burning temperature, but still high. And for sure, there is a lot of components in it you don't really want to inhale. But it's still much better than smoking. There's no doubt about that. So long term, it's inevitable. I would expect there's going to be ban in some of the countries of combustible tobacco products within maybe 10 years. But unfortunately, the vaping industry as an independent vaping industry and not as controlled by same four companies is under the serious threat. And the reason for this is industry players themselves. Well, first of all, there's been too much of this going with, like the industry decided that the most active vapors are representing the majority of consumers, and it's not true. And right now there is a realization of that, but because of this, the industry was not looking very attractive for smokers. You go to a vape shop, it's confusing. It's just way too many products. The information, if you want to go on YouTube and learn something about it, you're gonna find anti-vaping propaganda and device reviews and flavors reviews. Okay, and so one is not for smokers, not something that they can grasp on, and another tells them, you know, don't use it. It's not a good thing for you. It's nobody's personal fault that it is like that, but the industry have to turn more to smokers and start talking with them. And I'm actually preparing right now the project outside of a company. It's going to be a non-profit organization. The sole goal of it is to actually generate different communication projects, developing a content, supporting vaping, or explaining what happens in the tobacco industry. And majority of people forgot there is it's still leading cause of death.
Yeah, of course.
We're losing worldwide, we're losing the whole airplane of smokers every 15 minutes. Unfortunately, the big tobacco, which is 4+1 companies, is they don't want to switch to new products too fast. So it's like they already made vaping products, they already made heat not burn, and they advertise those. What they also do is they're making sure this product is not picking up too fast, because they cannot really switch to those products too fast. And because of that, they want to slow down everyone else. And so what have to be done here is to educate people, because today 4 out of 5 thinks that vaping is evil.
Yeah, that's a big problem. That's basically one of our main goals here, is educating smokers and catering to them, because we don't really focus that much on high-end stuff or very complicated devices. We don't really explain the menu and such. We mostly focus on products that can cater to smokers, that are accessible to them, and this has been one of the goals since we started this project back in 2014. Because Gogo can tell you in Romania the biggest selling atomizer is still the Kanger T2, which is a 10-year-old atomizer or something. So the majority of the users here in Romania are basically entry-level smokers that are trying to quit. They found a good thing that works for them, and they don't really need to upgrade or support the shops in that way, because they only buy their coil and their liquid and they're good. They use a battery for like 4 or 5 years. We have no reach to them with crazy mods or devices.
Of course, Max, you know very well the sales in Romania. I think we are in the first place in Romania. We sell American 18 milligrams. I think is the first one.
That's good, and I hope we actually can slowly start educating people as well on nicotine salts.
Yeah,
Because
of course.
4S is that product. I know it's a kind of a slow start product, but the reality that for smokers, again, on a non-salted nicotine is very, very hard to sustain enough nicotine. And there is a risk of people switching back to smoking.
Yeah, of course.
Because you can get used to it, but if you then try the cigarette and it's just, a real thing, and it's like, and you feel that different nicotine.
Yeah, I totally understand your vision behind this product, behind the e-liquid. I feel it. I know it's okay. It's totally true. But I don't understand the device, because when I was a smoker, the draw type was more like a MTL device. And that, I think the new Aramax pen, let's hope that we will have a new Aramax pen, will be more powerful and suitable for this kind of vapors.
We did a lot of experiments and the tests, and the goal here was, again, if you're a smoker, the easiest thing to switch is not just the one that is comfortable. The easiest one is the one that will keep make the curve of nicotine in delivery in the blood comparable to the cigarette. If we go with MTL device, we have to go lower on power. We're going lower on power, we're delivering less nicotine. And unfortunately, the way it works is that in this case, you're going to have much lower delivery. I wish we didn't have that TPD, which is quite evil law in the beginning. And the guys from Philip Morris who've been lobbying it to be like that, they knew what they're doing and they did their homework. And that's why, the Juul came to Europe, and after 2 years they quit.
Of course.
And they quit because this is MTL product that works, and it works fine.
It works fine only with
50
very high, 50.
60, 59, yeah.
50, 60, yeah.
And it doesn't work with 20. And so the same is here. If you go with a device that's going to be more typical resistance to the smoker, that's going to be more convenient, but it will be lower on power. It's not delivering enough nicotine. I wish we didn't have that limit, then sure, we would go with a lower power device.
And I'm sure we can talk more on the matter maybe in the backstage after we end the live, because it's a more technical kind of situation. Somebody asked, what do you think is your biggest competitor in Europe? If you think it is.
Local brands.
Mm-hmm.
It's in every country it's going to be local brands, because they usually kind of faster in updating the products. They more communicative with consumers. So they have a stronger position in that. They often lack, unfortunately, unless it's a large country like France or UK, they often lack the ability to do the good product, unfortunately, at least from the safety perspective. And I know, unfortunately, in in vapor circles, it's not very popular thing about safety. It's like, okay, it's safe enough.
Yeah, basically every vapor I know thinks I'm hitting that juice with like 100 degrees of coil heat and power. Nothing's gonna go through that. So that might be the rationale.
Yeah, it's not really how it works, and
Not really,
unfortunately,
huh?
I know the data, yeah, because we analyze a lot of products, but the main competitors, yeah, it depends on the country. So it's like very hard to compete in UK or France for sure, because the brand's very strong, the marketing is very strong there. So certainly the East and Central Europe is our main domain, and South to the extent. But I don't think any of those companies are competitors for us going forward. I don't look them as a competitors. I think our competition is cigarettes, and I think that's our main competition, and it's a competition for the mind of people.
Speaking of going forward, somebody asked if you think TPD is here to stay or will it go away in a few 5-10 years, something like that.
I think no. I think it will stay, but I think if you will have enough voice of public about the atrocities of the tobacco control, because tobacco control, government and European level, international level, is doing a horrible job. They clearly doing it in favor of big tobacco. And so if there's going to be enough public pressure, I think we can still change the TPD-free into something more reasonable. But it's going to be hard because, look, you know the Swedish Match products?
Yeah.
All right. So it's a very old story. Like we know it's proven over a very long time on a massive population, and yet it's banned in Europe, in most countries.
True.
Right. So they know what they're doing. It's not like they're not informed. And the problem is that, you know, if you're only talking about this on the small channels, and we kind of staying in the same bubble, and talk with people who understand it already, it's clearly not enough. So we have to go out of the bubble. We have to go to media, and then we can make TPD much more reasonable. And
for sure, we definitely need a leader, and I'm putting quotation marks on that. We need a leader's voice in this, because I'm sure there are, about the European industry associations and whatnot, and I think these are our perhaps best chance to rally people, because it's kind of hard for groups of people to unite in one voice in regards to things that are happening with laws that they don't really understand, because by the time it hits the public it's already in a law form and it's only pending approval maybe.
I think we have 20-30 million of people who stopped smoking worldwide because of vaping in the last 10 years. And I think even for a lot of those people are not sure if vaping is good or not good. Not all of them sure about that. A lot of them can feel it's better for their health. They just can literally feel. And so I believe we can organize the crowd to make a lot of different projects of how we can actually fight in this war. And that can work. So the only thing missing is organizing that. So I'm working on that.
Thank you in advance for that, because to be honest, there have been many attempts in the past, but none really could drive it home. None really did manage to do so. So we're hoping that perhaps your new endeavor might help us with that. Alex?
So a lot of people in chat asked about the e-liquids. Some e-liquids had changed during the years. let's say Cuban cigar flavor 10 years ago was, I don't know how, didn't vape that, and now is different.
Yeah. Some products we had to adjust in 2016, and some we had to adjust over time and to re-notify them. And the reason is that we're not really ready for having per country formulation of the same flavor. And in some countries, there are laws that are limiting us in what materials we can or cannot use.
Yeah.
And so we have to adjust them to actually fit in this. A lot of those regulations do not really make much sense, but we don't really have strong enough public voice to question these things at the moment. It's like usually we have to adjust our product every 2 weeks. It's because of the legislation changes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Another question is about the that scandal with the vitamin acetate in with cartridges. You hear about that? Of course, you hear about that.
Yes.
Did you? I don't know. In other European countries, did you saw something different after that scandal, or did the sales go down after that? Because in Romania it was terrible.
Yeah, the whole world, in average, lost 1/3 of a consumer. 1 out of 3 is just gone. And it's certainly, I mean, we had the World Health Organization, and we had CDC in the United States, which were keeping it as a front news for 3 months. And it was completely unjustified. It's like, for example, CDC has similar size and severity outbreaks approximately 40, 50 times a year. And they kept this one for 4 months on the front page. So they had much larger outbreaks at the same time, and they didn't took the first page. And they certainly lied about that it's vaping related. It has nothing to do with vaping.
Of course. In Romania, it's the same situation. I don't know who, I don't want to mention, but from time to time there are some attacks to vaping related. When, I don't know, influencers that they don't have any links or related to vaping, they put an article with I don't know, something bad, and that article is shared, and of course people that's see it.
I mean, it wasn't something like media is against vaping, for example. That was keep repeating vaping kills and kids are dying because of vaping. They just use whatever subject that generates clicks. But that's been organized attack by tobacco control. The Truth Initiative, which is partially Bloomberg funded and partially MSA funded.
Yeah, Bloomberg funded, yeah.
It's not completely Bloomberg. It's actually quite old organization. It's already like 17 years old.
They said public that they gave money for fight against.
Yeah, he added money to the company for sure. I don't think, by the way, that Bloomberg has some scheme here. I think for him it was just a question of what legacy he will have when he will die for the name of a Bloomberg. And so he felt, okay, you need to do something, some charitable projects that can do the change. And so somebody just sneaked it in and said, hey, you know what, there's kids dying and from vaping, and let's fight that. And I think he just signed on it, and that's all. But tobacco control definitely was looking for the ways of how to kill the vaping for quite a long time. And I don't know if history will show that it was even some kind of a diversion, and somebody just, because it's literally obviously one bottle of THC concentrate that was cut and spread in the United States that killed 68 people as a result.
Oh my God.
And so I hope it's just a mistake.
Yeah.
But anyway, they used it for their favor, and the media likes this kind of things. And I think we need to have a strong voice which is opposing this. I think it's slowly returning back because people don't really keep that information in memory for a very long time.
Yeah, they just scroll down.
Yeah,
basically.
But unfortunately, they have already the knowledge that vaping is probably not something very good.
They heard from a friend of a friend that vaping is worse than normal cigarettes. You should smoke the natural ones. They're less harmful for you than these ones. And basically the only way you can disagree with them is by quoting some science experiment or something that you yourself can't really interpret, because the scientists we have done their job and they did a very good job at that, but media isn't really open to explaining those kinds of projects in a way that people can understand.
You can quote anti-vaping organizations. That's what you can do, because all of those organizations admitting that electronic cigarettes are better than smoking.
Okay.
All of them, like WHO, they say yes, it's better. American Lung Association, one of the strong activists against vaping, is that they admitting it's better. State and Glance, right? Remember that guy who's keep doing the bullshit science?
Yeah.
He's doing it on camera. He's saying, well, sure, it's better. There's no doubt that it's better. So you can use this, and it's just, it's a manipulation that happens where they're saying, but it's not safe. Yeah, like what is safe? Water is not safe.
Another point they bring up is that, you don't know what it's gonna be in 40, 50 years. In the 50s, smoking was recommended by the doctor, and unfortunately that's... we do have the evidence we've collected so far tell us that vaping is actually much less harmful for you than smoking. But then again, they might have a point. I don't think they do, but they might. It all depends on if we can really get ourselves to buy quality products and not just products that are made for a quick dollar. I think we're gonna be okay, because
we might find something about vaping, but we definitely cannot find anything remotely as bad as we already know about cigarettes.
True.
That's like already fact. We have 19,000 scientific papers related to vaping. 19,000. We have a Cochrane report, as you know, it was half a year, I think, a bit less than that. And that's like gold standard on what science thinks. It's just, okay, they're saying we don't see any evidence of harm.
Yeah, but then again, people think the earth is flat, so I don't know, man. That's a hard case to win.
Yeah, but look, that's a result of a propaganda machine working. And overpowering this is not by giving rational things, it's by giving enough power of a message. It's just keep talking the right thing and talking a lot and finding ways of how to deliver the message. We need movies, we need a Netflix movies, not talking bullshit.
The truth about vaping, something like that, yeah.
Yeah. We're talking right now with Aaron, who made the You Don't Know Nicotine movie, right, about place in the public. So I hope we will be able to get it funded so he can put it on YouTube.
That would be awesome.
But we need way more of this movie. He made great movies, but it's really just like small. It's just not enough.
A drop in the ocean.
Yeah. So we need various projects, and we need crowd to help, to fund, to source, to join in various projects, and that I'm certain is going to work.
That I'm very
Max,
hopeful, not
did
as certain
you-
as you.
Max, did you try some other liquids beside Liqua, like I don't know, local liquids from each country? Because in Romania, I did some liquids because I had a problem. I didn't feel the nicotine. I used 18 milligrams, so I did the liquids with high PG, and. Another problem in Romania, because people use the device underpowered, they also didn't feel the flavor. So I did the liquids with high PG that amplified the flavor, and also amplified the throat heat. Did you try some other liquids and I don't know beside Liqua from?
Yeah, sure. I
Other
mean, every
countries?
week I'm trying something. I have to say that certainly in our company, I'm not the main guy who is trying flavors. Unfortunately, my kind of genetical skills and, for example, flavor are not as good as our flavorists. But yeah, I'm trying. Like for the product you said with high PG content, I also believe that there should be higher PG rather than what became the standard of 50-50. But the problem, as long as we work with open systems and people mix devices, there's going to be like, it's either going to start burning or going to start leaking.
Yeah, of course.
And so we have to be somewhat, in our case, by the way, we're not really doing it, for example, 50-50 like others doing. We're doing the same viscosity.
Yeah.
Because it's not really just only by 50-50. But yeah, I'm trying some of them good. Unfortunately, the best flavors probably are not safe.
Yeah, of course. I'm totally agree with that.
Diacetyl rules, man.
Yeah, of course.
It's not only diacetyl. Luckily, right now in Europe, I think at least from ready-to-vape products, there is no diacetyl. But there are many components which are not better. And it's a matter of quantity of how much of them inside. And since a lot of flavors are not really done for hot food, and the food flavors, a lot of them done for drinks, you're not actually supposed to inhale them that much. And consumption through the stomach and through the lungs is very different because some of it is damaging lungs.
Yeah, that's the main problem. Anything you like either makes you fat or is bad for you. Anything good, anyways.
I hope you found a good, middle ground where, if you like don't want to risk, we made all of the products that they're safe.
Have you ever considered making pre-filled pods with Liqua? Because I would really go for one of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the nicotine delivery option again. We're gonna hit the same matter.
No. We need to. What we're trying to do is to be the brand that's focusing people on what works. The problem with pods is that if you want to quit smoking with pods today in Europe, you're going to be broke.
True.
It's just insanely expensive. And there is no space for it. You can manufacture it yourself. You can sell it without any distribution directly, and you're still going to be double more expensive than cigarettes, and you're barely going to be making any profits to sustain the operation. So we're working on a technology to solve that for the last 1.5 years, but it takes time. It's not as easy. Otherwise, Juul would do it, or I don't know.
Yeah, maybe something that would be extremely easy to use and comfortable for the smoker, but has I don't know, something in the box that tells you to go for the 4S device or something that educates you. Maybe something that is cheap and readily available to smokers, but it's kind of like a gateway drug to normal vaping that can sustain.
We're gonna have that this year.
Yeah,
We're gonna have this. Yeah.
that would be great.
It's not going to be exactly pods, but can't say much.
Let's let's keep the surprise and the suspense going on that.
Yeah, but we definitely need something that like easy entry.
Yeah,
for
because
smokers.
a lot of kits are not really designed for smokers. I mean, they know it, they have it very easy. They take the cigarette out, they light it up, they smoke it, they toss the bud away, and that's it basically. We don't have that, as you said. You go into the vape shop, everybody starts speaking Chinese and throwing gang signs in there, because that's how we are, and it's very difficult. I had a lot of smokers that have approached me, and Gogo also, about helping them with basic concepts. This whole atomizer and coil and power. I have customers asking me, why do I need to change the power? So I understand why you didn't want to change the power on the 4S.
Yeah, we didn't want. Well, as a matter of fact, we're gonna this year as well come with upgrade of this, and it will be much simpler to use already. And so it's less parts. We don't really want this idea of separate tank and atomizer. I don't think it make any sense. So it's going to be like single unit, and we definitely going to simplify the refill, and really make it more robust. So it's more like much more reliable. And in general, we as well go in certainly the direction where we want provide to people an option where they can have some kind of a subscription where the hardware is just coming for free. They don't have to like new hardware coming and okay, just got a new hardware and that's it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Another awesome thing would be if we can find something that is comfortable for them at the beginning, even though the best delivery of nicotine is almost a restrictive lung inhale. Maybe we can start them off easy in the same concept.
It's actually, my view on this is I very well understand what you're talking about because we did a lot of this testing on the people who never vape before. And by the way, we found out that 4S is somewhat harder for vapers than smokers. Switching from smoking to the 4S is easier than switching from regular like vaping pen.
Yeah, that might be a personal view of ours because smokers might have it easier. Understanding is us vapers really have a acquired taste, especially if you've been vaping for a couple of years now. You kind of know what you like, kind of know what you don't like, and it's like really hard to switch, especially because nic salt has a different feel than regular nicotine, throat hit wise.
Yeah.
So you would expect it to behave itself in your body in a different way than it does, and it's kind of weird.
Yeah, and the body needs to adjust. It needs 1 or 2 weeks to adjust to high nicotine and to the salts. And for example, like why is it easier for smoker to switch to the 4S than vapor? Is that vapors are trained already themselves to making very long puff.
Yeah.
When you're smoking, a puff is twice shorter. And with salt, it's not a very good idea to make a very long puff because what happens is throat heat starting to grow.
Now we actually know to vape it like this. So how airy is it? Oh, it's more airy than a normal mouth to lung. Oh, so then I have to do a lung inhale, and that's when the problem starts to appear itself. Because
you can do mouth to lung with this. It's kind of there, but yeah, it's a bit unusual. But again, my view is that when people been starting to smoke, it was extremely uncomfortable.
But they forgot. They forgot they coughed a lot.
Yes, but it's not even about the memory. It's more about they had a motivation to start smoking.
True.
Usually, it's friends who are just like, hey, what? The man, or just, what, I'm going to cough. And so it's like, no, I'm okay. No, I'm with you guys. And I believe there is quite a lot of smokers who have really strong motivation to quit. And so if we're able to convince them that go in this direction, your chances you're never going to smoke are highest. it gives that
Yeah,
amount of time where they
I
can
really
test
understand
and
now
feel like, okay,
where
so I'm
you're
very
coming from,
comfortable.
and the product actually makes a lot more sense now.
Makes a lot more sense now.
Maybe we should have had this talk before we did our review. I'm sure we could have aided a lot better.
We will make sure that before you will launching a new product, we'll have a half an hour a chat with you.
Just invite me again, for sure.
Yeah,
For
that
sure.
would be great. Because to be honest, I mean, you know, I don't know if Gogo told you where I work, you know, where he works, and both of us kind of have a good idea of the general market. Liqua for us is not doing so great. Basically because I think it was more tested by vapors than smokers, and it's not really pushed by shops because guess what? Shops have vapors that sell.
Yep.
They
Yeah.
don't have smokers. So yeah, maybe some literature on that.
I think we kind of put it a bit premature maybe to the trade, and
Yeah.
and I think we had to probably educate a bit more of what is this product about. But we wanted to as well get the feedback from the vapors and see what they think about it. And it's mixed, and it's becoming much better if they understand why is it like this.
Yeah, because it's a very harsh sensation. I mean, harsh. It's something you're really new to. You as a vapor think you know the product because maybe you even tested the Vinci and you tested with liquid with nicotine and you're expecting something, but you don't get what you expected. You get something totally new, and people kind of fear new, but that's general.
Yeah, well, we definitely see that people kind of using salts and then but using lower power device. So this is happening, but we only starting. We just starting with searching over communication, and our goal is to bring smokers to the vape trade, because the vape trade is if the vape trade can educate smokers, then there is a reason for them to come. At this moment, there are very few shops, I believe, in every country where it makes sense for the smokers to come.
Well,
There are
basically,
still those good shops where, yeah, there are very well kind of, it's often owners, by the way, in those shops.
yeah, it kind of depends on the country because most countries do have vapors, and most countries only are catering to vapors. They're not really accustomed to smokers and what they actually need. I've seen plenty of cases where a smoker gets out with, I don't know, a long inhaled device and no nicotine. Guess
Yeah,
what?
of
It's
course.
not gonna work.
With 3 milligram, maybe less than 3 milligram.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work.
But that's a process. So we kind of, as you know, for Liqua Fest, we dedicated our website, liqua.com. And we're going to be making more materials and more articles, and we're going to be doing way more education about this. We kind of knew that if you're going to put in a trade, it's not going to be hit, because it's way too different product that requires to, like, okay, why is it like this? And we unfortunately probably cannot do it in all 100 countries. But we're definitely going to be focusing on Romania. That's an important market for us.
Yeah, but then again, you do have some media outlets with which you can work even in Romania. And even though, I don't know, worldwide, we're not seen as such a big channel, or any channel in Romania is not so big as any other English-speaking channels. But for the market that we have, I mean, we are thought as general influencers for the specific niche of smokers and catering to beginners. Even though we get some, I don't know, some bad rep with the vapors because we don't do high-end mods and other crazy stuff, but that's not our goal. There are plenty of people who can do that.
You know, I have a high belief actually in the vaping community, and I believe that there is a possibility for the vaping community to go back to smokers and educate them. It was happening already before, in the very beginning.
Yeah,
And
when
I
it
understand
was
it's
a
harder to
niche
do
and
now.
you were excited. Yeah, you wanted to tell everyone.
Yeah, it's a bit harder now for sure because you come into your friend and you're saying, "Hey, why are you still smoking? Maybe you should vape." And he's like, "No, no, no, no.
I've
It's
seen
totally
a
not
news
true."
report. I've seen it on TV. I had of a neighbor.
Right, but it's about actually giving more pressure. It's about giving the talking points and using things and saying like, "Do you know that there is no single medical organization that says that vaping is worse than smoking or even comparable? There is not a single one."
Speaking of that, why do you think England is so different from any other country, vape-wise? What really was the catalyst there?
Um, Definitely part of the reason is that the government system is more transparent in UK, and so corruption is a bit hard to happen. It's way more public. You can look at majority of the meetings that they have if you're a citizen, and people are kind of looking for what to pick on and say, "Hey, what the hell is going on here?" And so they as well had very dedicated people in NHS UK who been taking this job of tobacco control to the heart. The Clive Bates is worked in UK ASH, which is also tobacco control international group. And so it's they just took this stance of just more scientific approach. And unfortunately, this is not really helping that much. So it's like across the Europe, more than 80% of people thinking vaping is bad, but in the UK, it's 65. So it's less, but it's still majority.
Yeah, that's
Another
crazy.
reason in the UK is that, smoking is so horribly expensive. It's like, you go in there, it's like people usually come in there, it's like, oh, no, I'm just not buying it. And vaping is cheap. It's the cheapest vape in this part of the world.
Yeah, and they
It's
do
cheaper
have a
than I
lot
buy.
of things there.
Yeah, but the people in UK they also earn a lot of money.
Yeah, but still, vaping is much cheaper. It's like 5 times cheaper than smoking.
Yeah, of course,
So
because
it's
the cigarettes are very expensive.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
prohibitively expensive.
yeah, we've seen this problem. I mean, vaping has seen the first dip with the excise tax when it was first introduced in Romania. So that was the big hit for us. And then came TPD. So yeah,
Oh yeah, we
Vaping
had a
for a lot
protest
of people
in Romania.
vaping for a lot of people is a way of saving money.
yeah,
Because like across Europe, you spend roughly close to 1,800 euro a year on smoking. I mean, for average European person, that's going to be like vacation money. It's like good vacation money.
yeah, indeed.
And so when you think about it, it's like, yeah, can I like cut some of that? And I have iPhone for free every year.
True.
So yeah, and so I think for sure, what's happening with vaping is basically what's tobacco control was doing with the cigarettes. Make it more expensive, make it less accessible, make it less attractive, make it less popular, all of those things. But the reason they're doing it with vaping is to level it with tobacco, so that tobacco is not losing, that it still looks as an attractive product.
Yeah, but I think you said that in the end, even the tobacco companies will come to the conclusion that combustion smoking will have to end sometime. It's just
That's
a
for sure.
big
But
process for them.
But the way they want to do versus what market by itself can do is a difference of approximately 50 to 60 million lives lost additional, just because
Plus,
of a
they would
delay.
only want to sell one liquid with one flavor.
Well, that's probably less of an issue. is how many they want to sell. I understand there is and anyway, it's a prohibition of the flavors that's going across the Europe right now. That's a horrible idea, but people are gonna just buy flavors separate, and that's really bad idea, because now we cannot have a safe product.
Yeah, of course.
So
yeah, black markets is gonna boom basically with any prohibition.
I hope prohibitions. Yeah, I hope we will be able. I hope it's not too late.
I hope so too, because I mean, hopes are kind of running low now, because there were attempts in past, even with the first TPD, to protest and do something against it, or with the excise or with anything, but I don't know, the people just didn't rally enough, and we got this, which is still serviceable, but far from perfect, because ideally I would still buy my 30 milliliters of whatever nicotine I want, even 24 or 30 mg or whatever, and not be stuck with 10 mLs, 20 mg.
Yeah, that's true. But look, I think in a month or so, I will come to you guys and propose it to invite me again and talk about the project I'm doing, because I would definitely need your help.
Gogo also is working on a national association of consumers, basically, not of industry, because it's quite different.
He's trying to work.
He's trying to work on that. He's doing all he can, but we're definitely pushing for something, because just sitting idle doesn't really yield results.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, there's a lot of associations for vaping been done. 2/3 of them dead now. And just maybe they have a websites, but they not really any movements. And the reason is quite old, is that they're running out of money. I had 1 year ago a proposal about making kind of a stamps of approval for the products, and add a bit of money to the products and collect some money this way from a consumer, like increase the price 1%. And I think on the European level, I was unable to push because everybody's so busy, and I don't know, just quite distracted. But I see right now, I think in Italy or in Spain, I forgot. No, probably Spain. Yeah, Spain. They in Spain, they're doing this thing, so they're trying this approach. How they can be funded. It has its difficulties of how exactly you collect the money, and how to make this work. And you definitely don't want this seal to just mean, that's the way of paying to some association. You want this seal as well to be something like, okay, this product is done well.
Yeah, it has to represent something. It has to be like a seal of approval. I mean, either it's a Richie product or any other product, it has to go to some standards. I mean, that's a big deal.
It's technically it's doable, but its organization is a bit difficult. But at the same time, I believe if we have a movement that is really engaging people and really interesting for them, I think people by themselves can directly fund the things. And it's much easier to do it this way rather than do through the trade and through the consumers who are buying. But it needs a push, and a lot of push, and I'm working on this already for 6 months. So large team.
On a more personal note, mixology question, what do you think about water in e-juice? Because there was a myth that adding water can help with flavor, can do some miraculous things.
Yeah, we didn't found an evidence that the taste can become better from water. And I'm quite certain that our product on the market is that has the least amount of water of all. Because we don't keep our juice open. That's just manufacturing process is much more sealed and controlled, so that it's not absorbing water. We have some products where we have water for intentionally, because some of the chemicals in a flavor, they need some amount of water to be solved. And so it's like the same we have, for example, ethanol in some of the flavors. Small quantities, but it's there because you need
Because
to
of the flavor or
homogenize.
something.
Yeah, because PG is not universal homogenizer. And you know, there's products that, you know, you just put it on a table in 2 days, it's going to be like layered.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we just cannot afford that kind of thing happening. We need to make sure for 2 years it's going to be still staying the same.
Yeah, because as far as liquids go that we had anyways, they're mostly as, let's say, products that kept their taste and are recognized by vapors that have used them for a few years now, maybe 4, 5, 6. Liqua, Hansen, and a few others are only a few that kept their original taste, to say so, even though they had some adjustments to the recipe. But mostly they are considered as being the same thing every time, without differences from lot to lot. I mean, the new batch doesn't taste different from the old one, which is a big factor.
Yeah, well, from time to time, unfortunately, mistakes happens everywhere. So sometimes we have a batch that something gone wrong and somehow it's passed through the QC. But for us, considering how many batches we're doing, and we're doing, I think, 200 batches a day of different products. And for us, we have maybe around one average per year, which is going to be trouble and eventually will pass. So for us, we have no problem of recording products immediately if that happens.
Yeah, that has happened with us, and me and Gogo know it. So yeah, we've seen that before without any problem. Somebody was asking, what's your favorite e-juice? And if it's one that isn't made anymore, what would it be?
What's my favorite e-juice from our line? Or from
I don't know, maybe in general.
any?
Whatever.
Interesting. I think bright tobacco that we do is my favorite, because I keep returning to it, and it's kind of represents the whole idea behind what we're trying to do. We're trying to do the flavors that you can use live, so you don't really like, because a lot of exciting flavors, but it's like in 1 week you're like, okay, no. Cannot take it anymore. And so yeah, I like this. That it's for me, it's like a bread. You know, it's that baseline that I'm returning to always.
Yeah, we all have that one liquid that you come back to whenever you're tired of testing or you don't feel anything else.
Yeah, for me, dark and sweet, that combination is very good. I use it.
Maybe he can do a dedication one, a special edition, dark and sweet
It
premixed.
should be, because there are also a lot of vapors that here in Romania, my clients, that combine these two kind of liquids, dark and sweet, or traditional and coffee.
Interesting. I think we noticed a lot of people using cherry for some mixes.
They use
it's like cherry
a
and
lot.
traditional.
They use cherry a lot, and vanilla, I think.
Yeah, I think
online
it's okay. We actually, that was also an idea that we had, and we wanted to not really do in a liquid very complicated flavors, because it gives you an ability. Well, first, it's more kind of a simple, clear food, so to speak, and second, it gives you this ability you can mix. And we also cross-testing that mixing those things is not going to make it less safe. They're just ensuring that, okay, there is not going to be like a chemical reaction.
A guy ask you, what do you like to drink when you vape?
I usually drink tea.
Okay,
I'm not that much in alcohol, and I'm drinking wine maybe once a month. But yeah, I'm consuming a lot of tea. I think I'm a coffee addict as well to nicotine. But I don't like coffee. So.
Okay. Yeah, my kind of guy. I don't really drink also, so it's okay.
someone in chat said only she has. She wonders. Only she has clients which mix apple with tobacco.
Apple with tobacco is not bad. I think it's gonna be like something similar to shisha mix.
Yeah.
Because it's also a bit of, I guess, a mix of a few apples and tobacco.
Yeah, but shisha also has menthol.
A bit, yeah.
A bit.
Yeah, not a lot.
Do you have any old flavor, let's say from Liqua Q or the old Liqua that you liked?
Well, the bright tobacco is quite old. It was from the beginning.
It's the same. I understand. Bright and American and traditional and Turkish, and they all are the same.
Yeah, they are the same. I think from Q line, something stayed in the short fields, probably.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but in general, yeah, I think in the Q there's been not a lot, and there's been one or two additional flavors. We recently released a new flavor. It's a Virginia tobacco.
We have it.
What do you think about it?
It's very nice. It's from Aramax Shortfields. My opinion is that the Shortfields from Aramax are 10 times good than Liqua Shortfields, because they have the principle of the Shortfields. They are sweet. They are, I don't know.
Well, Aramax was kind of designed to be more bold. Its idea behind it, but still to try to be at the edge of what you're gonna use daily. So it's okay, but in general, no, I think long term we'd like to go at least for Liqua out of short fields, because the problem is that what people using it to dilute it with, that's it's like, where is this nicotine coming from? And especially if it is like a fight for the cost down. I know how I can save a lot of money on that. It's like tremendous amount of money. But it's if it's locally sourced, who's locally has any GCMS to test it or HPLC equipment? That's a $500,000 equipment.
True.
Right. So and then it's like you don't know what is inside, and there is a lot of horrible stuff. It's like nicotine of a single distillation. That's like full of carcinogens. And
do you recall that nicotine, especially Chinese nicotine or Chinese-made e-liquids with nicotine, used to have a lot more kick to them? I mean, a lot more.
No, I think in general we have on the market somewhat more kick than others. We have a lot of complaints like, "Hey, are you sure you put a proper amount of nicotine? It sounds like it's too strong." I used like 12 from another brand, and they are much lighter.
Yeah.
I think the reason for this is that we preserve pretty much all of it, because we keeping there is nitrogen inside the bottle.
Really?
And yeah, well, you cannot feel it because nitrogen is also most of
it's
the air.
In the air like 67%, so you wouldn't feel
it. But we pushing down the amount of oxygen inside the bottle, so it stays longer. Because otherwise, it's not going to stay for 2 years on a shelf.
Yeah, most manufacturers of foods and chips and they use nitrogen exactly for this reason.
Well, I think we're only one who use it in a vaping product, to be honest. And we also not, again, we only dealing with fresh nicotine because it's built for us. And it's built on our specs. So it's not like we buying someone's supply and there is like very different nicotine. It's very narrow, fresh nicotine. And we also, because the process of how we manufacture, there is no access to oxygen, to water, to air. So it's always, pretty much always sealed.
So maybe that's why they stay all the same all this time.
Yeah, sure. Well, not only that, but we have a lot of like QC steps where we're checking, okay, this is done right, this is done right. We have very complicated, IT system for managing production.
Yeah, I've seen that because you can track each bottle of Liqua by its label with the QR code and everything like that.
Yeah, well, we're tracking all the drums and all the processing.
Somebody asked if anyone tried to steal your recipes all these years.
Well, we had a lot of, because Liqua is quite old brand, for example, there's definitely a lot of fake Liqua, much less now. But in the past, I think there's been periods there's been more fake Liqua than original, like maybe 7 years ago. And that's why we have a QR code to check for if it's original product or not. But they still sell our original package from 8 years ago. It's like,
yeah, I've seen that.
We have, we have a Philip Morris sending us the letter demanding us to remove using their brands from our package because fake Liqua was using the Marlboro brand on the package.
Okay.
And they're like, hey guys, maybe you should, it's not to us, talk to them. That's not original product. But we've been working a lot with authorities, with React, and we've been stopping a lot of the shipments. I think we busted 4 or 5 times factories in China who's been producing it. Unfortunately, it's not very effective. You actually spending more money doing this than they're losing money on that because next day they just open in another place. But we decreased a lot of the fake ones. So in terms of taking a flavor, I think somebody did it. Probably somebody made a copy. It's very hard to make exact copy. Very, very difficult because you can have all equipment you want, but it doesn't tell you the recipe. So it's a bit self-protected to the extent. And I believe that's not the flavor is not really the primary thing that builds a brand connection. It's like that because something is similar in taste. It's like why people would be buying that.
Yeah, there is a point. But then again, people have tried to replicate successful recipes because that's the only way they think
we had one who did. Also in Romania, we had one who did Liqua liquids.
I don't recall those.
Is it still on sales? We can take a look at that because...
No, he's dead from a long time ago.
He was run over by a car or something,
store.
Bad karma.
Well, we had a the first brand, I think of, where was that, in Poland? I forgot the company name that eventually was sold to Big Tobacco. So they started with a brand Liquin. So it was looking very similar.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I remember how we found it out is that I was going to the factory, to my factory in China, and in the elevator it's China, and there's usually some trash, and I see on the floor there is a package of Liquin. And I'm like, what the hell is that? And turns out they've been making a package at in a supplier that was in the same building with us. And so we called them and said, guys, that's weird. You know, it's like you coming to us and asking about being a distributor and then immediately doing the similar product. And they said, well, yeah, you know, yeah. Okay. But it worked. It worked quite well for them, right? So they like build a lot of brands. They occupied completely the retail in Poland, and they just been dominated. Like I think 70% of sales has been their products.
Do you have a favorite vape-related memory? I don't know, or a funny vape-related memory?
Oh.
I know we have this problem also because we work in shops and there are a lot of times when things get funny.
Oh, funny memory.
Or a favorite one, whatever you choose.
Well, favorite. Well, I have a lot of memories, and especially in the last 2 years, it's like I literally feel like every year I feel like it's 3 years past.
Oh.
It's just for me. It's like the end of a week is like, oh, all right, that's end of a week. It's like, what the hell? Where's Saturday? And then it still works. So I think fresh ones, the things we're doing right now, the projects, I'm very excited about what we're doing. It's like, it's very inspiring. But unfortunately, yeah, I cannot yet share a lot of this.
It's okay. We had some pretty dumb memories of our own. I thought maybe you had some crazy, like the copies one in China, because it's funny working with China.
Yeah, I mean, certainly from my Chinese experience, I was like, that was experience by itself. I got used to it later, but at first it was, I remember at first I didn't know, for example, where to buy stuff, first half a year. I was like, well, nobody speaks English. I'm not speaking Chinese.
Oh my God.
I don't have an assistant.
How did you manage?
So, hard. I was like, just going around and then pointing fingers if I need to buy stuff. I was eating only the same food every day for the first 3 months because, okay, that one I can eat, and everything else I don't understand what the hell is that. And but then I found Taobao, and then it was like, wow, Taobao is just it's like AliExpress, but it's
I know
50 times larger, right? So it's like everything there. I still miss that because
you could
Amazon,
get anything.
Yeah, you can get anything. It's like they have billions of SKUs and so on it, and shipping is like next day. Doesn't matter where you buy. It's just next day you have it. But what really was crazy, I remember, is that first I found a lot of things are really cheap, and it's like production press for $5, and it's like thinking, wow, this is a pneumatic press, but it's at $5. But later it turned out, okay, it just looks like a press. If you're lucky, it might even do something. But it really very much looks like a real thing.
It's a picture.
Yeah, I remember I once found on Taobao like SD cards, which were like very cheap. And I was like, wow, great. And they work, and they show,
6 gigabytes or how many?
I think they were like probably 32 or 64.
Listed.
But the trick was, it looks like it's that. You can put that amount of files inside, you just can't read them back.
Yeah.
And it was like, and a lot of people bought, because on Taobao you can see sales, and I see like they sold 20 million of them in like a week.
Oh my God.
So it's like one-time business. Okay.
Yeah, you're set. 20 million sales is how much? $1? You're a millionaire.
Yeah, and by the way, it's very, very hard to do this because in a micro SD you need to really do the lithography like this. And lithography is very expensive. And so you have to be that bold. You have to know that, before anyone notices, you sold dozens of millions of those and run. And so, yeah, that was the thing. And then it was suddenly when we started production for especially hardware, and we found out that suppliers are not checking the product before they send it. They like make the whole batch, send to you. You measure dimension, it's wrong, and you're like showing to them like, what the hell, it's the wrong size, and they're like, okay, send it back.
Close enough.
Yeah, so we have, I think up to now, we're rejecting 70% of batches of materials.
Oh,
70.
Did you ever manage to get a glance at how coils are made?
Sure. So they have a machines, which it's a small machines. They kind of, there are 5 companies that are designing those machines. In the beginning, they've been selling machines, and then they stopped selling machines, started selling coils.
That's a better deal. So
Yeah,
it's not like an army of Chinese dudes just coiling up there and putting cotton.
That was very long time ago. I think maybe, they stopped doing this in probably 2012. Because the demand for coils is so big, it's just it doesn't make any sense. It's too expensive. The labor in China is expensive.
It is?
Sure. I mean, the minimal you're gonna pay is €600 a month. That's a minimum.
oh,
And usually they're not gonna stay with you if you're paying them that much, that small. You have to give them 60 hours a week, where 20 hours is gonna be like double payment. Otherwise they quit. They just don't want, because they need to be making something like €1,000, so they would stay.
Okay.
And
so in Romania the minimum wage is €400, I think.
No,
maybe less.
300 something before tax.
And
I think it's cheaper. Yeah, I think it's for sure it's cheaper to
we
do.
can do it
But-
in Romania.
Yeah, but then again, we
it
don't work
depends.
that much, so I don't know.
Yeah, I have to say that in because we do the production here as well in Czech, and we do there, and we see that yield per hour is not comparable.
Nope.
It's
Yeah.
probably twice difference. But most, in China, most workers, at least in Guangdong area, where most of electronic cigarettes are done, is you're gonna work with girls. As a majority is 80% is gonna be girls, and they're gonna be like 20 to 25.
Oh,
Yeah.
acolo-i de noi.
And they don't work for a very long time.
Are
So-
you sure you don't want to go to a short visit?
Huh? Sorry?
We can go to a short visit there, because we like this kind of opportunity.
Okay. Well, but yeah, usually they just come to factories to work for several years. They collect enough money, and so either they have money to themselves, or they just go for university and they pay for it, because usually university is going to cost. Or if the family lives far away, they just bring the money, so they can make in 3 years like 70, 80,000. No, wait, 30 around 25, 30,000 euro. They can make, and then if they move to north of China, where it's much cheaper, that's a lot of money. So they usually, they don't, if they work on a factory, don't pay for living. They're making 1,000 euro, but for food they're gonna pay maybe 30 per month, 30, 50, not more. So like 85% of the money they just can stash and then just live.
Do they have like crazy hours and working Saturdays, Sundays, things like that?
There are, it depends on the region. So we work in Shenzhen, and in Shenzhen there are quite strict labor laws. So there is a limit of how much they can work. Certainly, there's still a lot of business maybe that not even legal. They don't have a license. But in Shenzhen, much less. because Shenzhen is extremely expensive city. It's like not Chinese levels. It's like San Francisco levels.
Okay.
They usually and they pushing out the business which is not legal or which is dirty and so on and so on. It's harder and harder for us every year to keep the license because we're dealing with nicotine and we're dealing with flavors, and so we closest to downtown factory in Shenzhen. Everybody else already moved far away. But because we want to work together, that the production and the office is in the same place, we cannot really sit in those places where other factories sit because it's like nowhere. We have a subway. It's downtown. You have an IMAX cinema just behind the corner.
Civilization.
Yeah, it's a big city. I don't know. Have you been Shenzhen?
No, I had planned a trip there for electronics market. Of course, you know the electronics market.
Yeah.
The big things. But the coronavirus arrived and this is
You mean electronics, like electronics park Huachan Bay?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, it's much smaller now. I have to tell you this. It's still big, but everything on Taobao, and so they still have offices there, but it's expensive place. So it's like I think the best era of this, when you come in, it's like I don't know how many. It's like 20 floors of sellers, but it's so hard to find anything. So when Taobao appeared, all of them on Taobao.
Yeah, I know, but is that the feeling of the?
It's still there, so you still can make it because
The man has a dream.
Yeah, you still can make it.
In Shenzhen.
But it's not, I don't think there's that many people because before you come in Huachan Bay, it's just like the whole street is of traffic of people sliding into the houses. So yeah, it was crazy.
Did you, this is a rhetorical question, but anyways, how did you manage with the whole corona crisis? How hard was your company hit? Do you have anything there to mention, or is this not an interesting question?
For company, it wasn't very hard. For our production, it was difficult because first it hit China, and in China it was like, you can't work anymore, suddenly. And it was like for 3 weeks, just cannot go. Here we just applied already a lot of measures to prevent, so we didn't have a single worker getting sick. I hope it's not gonna happen. Even for Czech Republic right now, it's not. People don't wear masks here that much.
Yeah.
There's a lot of protests. We have like every 2 weeks.
Of course.
On the main square is like demonstrations and all that. So in terms of a business, I think there's been some hit. I think maybe 7% roughly across the year. But certainly nothing that big as the United States study. So it's kind of mild. Some countries going on a full lockdown, like South Africa was really hit bad. For 4 months, like all trade closed. So they only sell online. Majority of people cannot buy online. So it was difficult. But for the business, it was not really a big threat, but we still used some of the subsidies that were coming from governments because of this, so that was helpful. In general, I hope it will restore, I hope this thing is not forever.
Of course, let's hope so.
I hope so
Max, Another questions from the guys from the chat. I lost the question. Tell us about the vaping in Czech Republic. We went there, I think 3 years ago or something, Stefan?
3, 4 maybe?
3 or 4 years ago. It was pretty much like Romania.
I think well, Czech Republic is the most successful country for IQOS in the world. And so a lot of vapers switched here to IQOS.
They switched to IQOS from
Yeah.
vaping?
Yeah.
Because it's more trendy? It's better looking?
Well, they had really like good perception here, so it became more of a thing, like a higher class product. That was number one, and the second, I think, vaping started to look here, at least in Prague, as more subcultural thing. People trying to hide vaping. Those who vape, they kind of not feeling very confident. And with IQOS is completely opposite. It's just like people going
Showing
out
off.
and smoking places. Yeah, they use an IQOS.
Show.
Like I'm on the right path, and I'm paying plus 50% versus smoking. So I'm a good person. So it picked up very well. Vaping still certainly exists. I think Ego.io is still number one product here. There is not a lot of hype, for sure. There's not a lot of like high power vaping you can see on the street. I think almost none. Most people are going to be, they're going to be Ego.io. Still a lot, but I think what we have here around 9%, maybe, or 8% of smokers who's been vaping more or less long term. So it's not a lot. It's much less than France or UK. So there's still
of course.
1.5 million people who don't know that.
All right, so I think we've surpassed our expectations for the longevity of this live stream.
We said that we stay half an hour and we stay almost 2 hours.
Yeah, it was great actually. I think the best thing would be if you want to say a few words to our viewers before you sign out. That would be great.
Yeah.
Gogo,
sure.
just a second. Gogo, could you do the thing? That's better.
Okay, well, that's very much. Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you guys for using our products. Quite a long time, and we're doing our best to do it better. And I believe for our company, things are just starting. And I'm definitely looking into getting your support into changing the mind of smokers. And so hopefully we will be doing the content that can help with this. I'm interested as a business certainly in our products, but if you help them, that whatever vaping products is much better than what they are on right now. And so maybe even some of you are concerned that, oh, maybe vaping is not that good, maybe I shouldn't really recommend, but it's not true. Our product may be safer than absolute majority, that's true, but all of them cannot come close to how bad is smoking. So let's try to tackle this, and let's try to kind of educate them more. If you do it more, it's gonna work. So,
we will do our best, and thank you very much for accepting our invitation. For sure, there have been some things that we have learned today. We're very glad to hear about your new projects, and I'm sure that with the right amount of pursue, things will come to change eventually for vaping, because right now we're in a bad place, but hopefully we won't stay here for long.
I'm very certain it will work one way or another. So don't be grim. It's gonna be okay. It's just the beginning.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
for
for this.
inviting me.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Max. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are
Bye-bye.
looking forward for our next conference.
For sure. Just invite me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Have a
so
good
much.
night.
Bye.
Have a great evening. Bye-bye. And now, dear friends, this has been it. Dă-o dracu de engleză, ne-am revenit. Vezi? Am rimat cu două vorbe, cum s-ar zice. Hey! Băi, știi ceva? Eu zic să stai așa, că mai avem 5 minute să ne revenim. Așa, te rog.
Mulțumim frumos, domnul Ilie. Ne-a trimis 2 stickere, 10 plus 10 egal 20. Mulțumim frumos, mulțumim mult. Nu.
Tot, frumos. Bă, dragilor, sunteți foarte tari. Deci foarte tari. Da, săptămâna viitoare sunăm OLX-ul, își ia Gogo ce trebuie și sună pe OLX, dă-i direct cu număr. Cineva pe chat a zis că încearcă el să traducă chestia asta. Bă, toată bafta. Good luck, my friend.
firma Liqua că îi dă niște lichide.
Da, chiar și așa.
Vă zic
Good luck,
eu.
my friend. Bă, acestea fiind spuse, stai așa un pic, că mai avem și în română niște
Uite,
combinații.
mă, Max ne-a spus, mulțumim frumos, Max, foarte drăguț.
Thank you,
Foarte drăguț că a
mulțumim,
venit
Max.
nenea ăsta, pe bune, și e super de treabă.
Bă, eu mă bucur să aud că omul e mega pozitiv, gen stai mă așa că nu e rău, stai așa că activezi proiectele acum. Bă, eu chiar mă bucur când aud astea.
Eu zic așa, dacă noi îl tragem pe ăsta de mânecă, îl ajutăm și îl împingem spre ce trebuie, avem și noi produse bune.
Bă, da, eu nu înțeleg, adică combinația asta cu Foresul are mult mai mult sens acum, frate.
Bă, când o spune el, este altceva. Când oamenii de la vânzări au spus, e pentru fumători. Mă, ce să-i spui lui ăla când îți spune așa?
De ce-i pentru
Dar
fumători?
când omul a spus direct de la el, că asta e că să pierde, când ăsta care știe Vapat îi spune lui ăla de la vânzări care nu știe Vapat, ăla transmite mai departe, să face un fel de telefonul fără fir și na. Da, când a spus, are o logică ce zice el acolo. Și într-adevăr, eu până acum spuneam că, bă, ceva nu e ok. Dar acum când a explicat ăsta exact ce și de ce și cum, da, vezi că...
Și are sens. E posibil pentru fumător să fie mai ușor să treacă pe forest direct decât e pentru vapor. Că exact cum i-am zis, bă, te aștepți la ceva, nu e acolo, e ciudat pentru vapor. Dar nici măcar nu l-a interesat de vapor, că forestul nu e pentru vapori. Și așa are sens. Așa merge.
Fuck me! Mulțumim frumos, Max, ne-a trimis 1000 de CZK.
Băi,
Cât
sunt o
1000
grămadă
de
bani
CZK?
astea.
Thank you very much,
bani
Max. Thank you very much.
Ui, thank you
Așa
so
că să ne
much.
uităm pe net. 1000.
Nu te uita, mă, nu te uita, nu-i frumos, te uiți cât costă cadou. Zi, bă, dar prost, te mergi mai departe, fii țăran
Mulțumim
român.
frumos, să rămână.
Așa,
Mulțumim
thank
frumos.
you so much.
Bă, dar și noi am fost la Praga, adică ar trebui să știm.
Da, mă, știu eu, bagi 1.000.000 și ies niște monezi de alea.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Max.
Yeah.
Când am mers la Praga, am scos dintr-un bancomat de ăla, nu mai știu, parcă am scos dintr-un bancomat, nu?
Da.
Și am scos niște CSK de ăștia și eram îi spun lui Fane, bă, Fane, nu știu, că câți bani avem aici, avem, nu știu,
Nu
câți
știu, bă,
avem,
dar
cât
ei
ne-au
au
dat.
niște fise de-ți cumperi mașini cu fisele la aia, bă, noi ne uitam ce
Exact.
ăsta, mă, mi-a dat 50 de bani, dă-i mă încolo.
Deci eu eram cu mărunții ăia și la un moment dat într-o piață de aia cu mâncare, cu ce e pe acolo, i-am dat lui una o mână așa de mărunt și a luat, gata, și mi-a și dat rest înapoi.
Erau mari fan pe fise de alea, cehii. Imediat te umplei de fise.
Mamă, păi Max ne-a plătit streamiardul, gata, mă, mai chemăm. Mulțumim frumos. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Max. Yeah, we are gonna
Thank you
win,
very much,
especially
Max, again.
când avem pe cineva care trage cum trebuie, bă, că așa trag eu, trage Gogo, trageți voi. Nu e, bă, vine Liqua că ăștia-s mari, altfel. Eu chiar mă bucur să aud. Pe bune.
Da?
Da,
Eu sunt
foarte
sigur,
tare.
dacă vorbim cu omul ăsta și îi spunem exact care-i treaba, și ce trebuie, și ce mai trebuie modificat, și ce credem noi, și ce crede el, eu sunt sigur că o să scoată aparate mai bune. Și bineînțeles că și interesul nostru că noi le folosim până la urmă, noi le recomandăm oamenilor și interesul nu e să-i dai ăluia un aparat prost.
Păi, bă, a fost tare live-ul ăsta. Mi-a plăcut.
Uite, fii atent.
Zi.
Că am mai răspuns aici, Max. A întrebat un băiat ce trebuie să facă Liqua ca să facă mai bine și a zis că să muncească mai mult cu comunitatea. Știu că a intrat acolo și a răspunde la comentarii.
Bă, e un om ca lumea ăsta, bă, să mai vie. Și oamenii, să vezi că s-au uitat o grămadă de oameni și încă se uită. 80 de persoane care nici n-am avut concurs și tot se uită.
Da, asta este. Săptămâna viitoare facem cu OLX-ul.
Și avem invitat sorpresa săptămâna viitoare și nici nu o să ghiciți într-un miliard de ani.
2 miliarde de ani.
Da. Te-ai blocat?
Da, puțin.
Foarte bine. Am mișcat un pic mouse-ul și ți-ai revenit.
Da, vezi, așa sunt.
Zi frumos la oameni. Uite-te la cameră.
Da, mi-am luat 3090. Ce să le zic?
Zile pa, mă, că e 11.
Dragilor, mulțumim frumos, a stat 2 ore cu noi. Mulțumim domnului Max care a venit, firma Liqua, până domnul Alin care a intermediat această combinațao, ca să zic așa. Mulțumesc lui Fane care a fost alături de mine și a vorbit câtă engleză avea acasă, că eu am spus, eu nu prea am multă engleză, mi-e puțin rușine.
Da, vezi că ai avut destulă. Eu zic chiar păstă medie.
Păstă medie. Da. Nu știu ce să zic, deci pot să mă angajez la Netflix suport acolo.
Da.
Să știu eu pe cineva care muncește. Uite, Max, aici încă vă răspunde la ce întrebări ați mai pus acolo și noi nu le-am mai zis că ni s-au părut...
Nu, n-am apucat că omul, știi, majoritatea invitațiilor pe care îi aducem n-au vorbele la ei, dar ăsta știa, bă, băiatul, adică putea să vorbească el singur tot live-ul, nu era nicio problemă. Chiar era bine pe vorbe.
De aici ai răspuns lui băiatul ăla care DJ Gogo sau nu știu cine l-a întrebat. Plătești pentru lichid? Cel mai scump lichid în lume. Bă, uite, cam apropo de asta, că vă zic eu, colegul meu Ionuț, care e patronul firmei, da? Nu dă banii efectiv, că e patron, adică dar mă pune să-i scot bon.
Da? Așa trebuie. Păi ce faci cu gaura din casă?
Stricăm stocul? Nu?
Se preface că i-a luat.
Pun bonul.
Se preface că i-a luat.
Da.
Da, corect.
Ei pun bonul acolo, dar sunt bătute toate.
Păi așa se face. Ăștia care știu așa fac. Dar mă, scoți frumos, bun, nu e, dă și mie o cola de părav de acolo. Da, sigur, cum să nu.
Da, uite aici l-a întrebat, n-am înțeles ce a zis aici, a întrebat cineva chestia
glicerina,
asta,
întrebarea e așa, dacă glicerina e de-aia de petrol și de-aia vegetală, știi?
Așa.
Aia a fost întrebarea și asta întreba.
Asta era întrebarea?
Cred.
Am înțeles.
Mă, da, eu de ce nu văd unde răspunde Max?
În chat-ul de pe YouTube.
Dar nu-l văd. Nu contează, nu-l văd că nu-l văd eu aici, văd în reluare. Bă, da, gata, văd acum.
Apare mai târziu.
Nu, e ok, e în regulă. Da, zic și eu frumos la oameni.
Uite că am mai scris aici. Da, așa, hai să mai stăm 2-3 minute să răspundă băiatul ăsta la toată lumea.
Păi atunci fii atent.
Ia zi.
Da, să răspundă băiatul. Da, eu mă bucur foarte tare că cineva începe să facă ceva în direcția asta, în sensul în care, un producător care are și cu ce se activează, că asta cu asociația, cum a zis-o și el, și într-adevăr așa e, s-au făcut multe asociații și puține au rămas, că e greu, pentru că trebuie să strângi tot timpul bani la asociație, că știi tu, Gogo, trebuie bani și ca să deschizi.
Nu mai lasă banii. Uite eu de ce m-am lovit, da? Am intrat într-o pauză unde aștept după niște hârtii, după niște dale, trebuie să fac 100 de drumuri la avocat, la notar, la tribunal, la nu știu ce. Când? Pă bune.
Da.
Că la mine la muncă nu-i problemă, că îi spun șeful, mă duc nu știu unde. Toate, nu e nicio problemă, știi? Dar sunt aia la alți colegi, adică e treaba de făcut care îmi rămâne pentru a doua zi.
Corect, nu poți, pleci, dar tot acolo te întorci.
Da, cam așa ceva.
Fix așa. Da. Una peste alta, treabă foarte bună. Foarte bună. Eu mă bucur că omul ăsta e mai om decât mă așteptam să fie. Că te gândești, dita e CEO, e de la Liqua, de la început, fondator.
E băiat, că eu știu de când a prezentat atunci era Maxul.
Ai, frate,
și
super băiat.
A fost foarte ok ce a făcut el, ce am vorbit atunci. Doar
super
că
băiat.
a apărut târziu. Dacă apărea la o lună după ce după ce a prezentat el atunci Aramax Power-ul, păi ești nebun, rupea lumea în două. Și așa rup lumea în două, dar rupea și mai rău.
Mie mi-a plăcut să văd că omul chiar crede în produs, în ceea ce spune și mai mult decât orice, crede în Vapat. Nu e doar că, cred Liqua best brand ever. Nu, omul crede în Vapat, în primul rând. Crede că ăsta e viitorul și mega important, frate. Că na. Și noi credem că ăsta e viitorul, dar când vezi că se întâmplă atâtea, zici, bă, eu oricum o să vapez, dar aș vrea să vapeze toată lumea, nu doar să-mi iau eu arome de la americani pe combinație și nicotină temir de unde distilată din petrol. Aș vrea să vapeze toată lumea, să nu mai moară de tutun.
Corect.
Da. Uite, exact ce ziceam. To be a success company, we do products that we use ourselves. Da, corect.
Da. Exact cum am făcut eu cu lichidul ăsta.
Da, frate.
Bă, lichidul pe care îl vapezi. Da. E la ce mai bun
Ia stai așa
exemplu.
să-mi dau și gata. Așa, să fim la același nivel. Așa.
Un bec albastru. Un bec verde. Tu ai albastru.
Da, mă, foarte tare. Acestea fiind spuse, dragilor, vă mulțumim foarte mult că ne-ați urmărit în această seară și că ne-ați tolerat engleza pe care am avut-o. Asta e. Eu zic că ne-am descurcat cât de cât acolo frumos, elegant. Mulțumim foarte mult că ați fost băieți, mega băieți și fete, și frățiori surioare. Bă, nu mă așteptam. Știu că sunteți ai noștri, dar mi-ați depășit toate așteptările în secțiunea de comentarii a live-ului cu întrebări pertinente la obiect și foarte elegante. Cinste vouă, sunteți foarte tari și ne mândrim că ne urmăriți și suntem de-a dreptul, zic un cuvânt frumos. Humbled. Ce înseamnă humbled în română?
Umil.
Da. Acolo, dar cumva să se lege cu ce am zis eu. Până data viitoare, marți avem clip, duminică pune Fane ceva și pe canalul lui.
Da, să-i dați like.
Da, să dați acolo că am fost băiat, am dat toate concursurile. Da, m-am ținut de cuvânt, așa trebuie. Și joi avem live cu cu invitat surpriză. Mega invitat că el nu prea apare, dar o să apară la noi. Că așa se face.
Bă, ar trebui să continuăm treaba asta cu invitații ăștia așa care... Și mai am și niște idei pe cine să chem.
Da, eu susțin această moțiune și cred că chat-ul va fi de acord cu noi.
Mă, și eu cred. Uite, mai sunăm un impostor, un compostor de pe OLX, mai vorbim cu unul, mai
Secțiunea
cu altul.
OLX cred că ar trebui să o facem măcar o dată pe lună pentru că este foarte entertaining. Pentru
Poate
mine
împărțim-
personal e foarte entertaining.
Poate împărțim live-urile să fie
Invitat, OLX,
invitat,
nebun China
compostori.
și încercăm să facem glume.
Nu. Deci așa, compostori.
Da.
Eu știu și niște site-uri care sunt compostoare.
Așa.
Că m-am uitat zilele trecute și am găsit
Da.
pe niște site-uri compostoare. Invitat, dar de ăsta special, așa de marcă, știi? Dar de Norbert ăsta e frate cu noi, adică nu e...
Da, mă, pe Norbi îl băgăm la OLX, intră cu noi aici,
vine
nu
așa,
e
da.
de-al casei.
Da. Unul cu... Cu ce ai mai zis tu?
Cu tâmpenii din China.
Cu
Dildăuri.
tâmpenii, da, și asta cu tâmpenii în China și vă promit că îmi fac
Nu
cont pe
promite.
Taobao,
Așa.
că acolo sunt cele mai mari tâmpenii, doar că e în chineză tot site-ul aia e beleaua. Și încă unul că trebuie, este proiectul meu de suflet, ca să zic așa, ăla cu pozele, că nu se poate, o dată pe lună cu pozele,
Neapărat, cu poze și concurs.
poze și
poze.
concurs, da.
Da.
Da, acestea fiind spuse, dragilor, mulțumim foarte mult că ați fost alături de noi în această minunată seară. Aveți grijă de voi, nu mâncați de pe jos, nu vă pupați cu boschetarii, continuați să gândiți pozitiv, Gogo vă iubește, vă pup.
Susțin această moțiune, mulțumim foarte mult că ne-ați urmărit, ca de obicei sunteți cei mai tari. Până data viitoare, eu am fost Fane
Eu am fost Gogo.
și voi ați fost la Academia de Vapat live. Toate cele bune și o seară minunată.
Și thank you very much, Mr. Max.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Max. Good
Bye
show.
bye. Seară bună, pa, pa.